Welcome to episode 6.
Coming up in this episode, we'll be featuring Alberto Caligarich showing us all the Tenkara equipment that he carries on stream.
We've got a kick-ass East meets West feature with Takahashi San.
We're back with the Italians again with Vito Rubino for a fantastic interview.
But first, check out some fishing.
That's a nice fish.
That's a cracking grailing, man.
Welcome to Tenkara in Focus.
First up, in this episode, we're going to be featuring a little bit of an interview come tackle talk with Alberto Caligarich. Ubi, as he's known to his friends, is becoming a bit of a regular in this show. We've just seen him in the intro. That was actually a trip out with us here in the UK. We took him on fantastic Derbyshire stream. Ubi's been in Japan now for several years, hasn't he? And he was missing grayling. He'd just got a few days of grayling season left, so we managed to get out and he got a grayling. It was quite an emotional moment for him, as you see.
You can totally see that from the clip, but it was just an amazing set of circumstances because he'd had a business trip, so he'd been sent all around Europe.
Yeah, he'd had about 11 flights in 10 days or something.
Yeah, completely crazy. But there was like a tiny window and we were thinking, is it actually going to be within season? Can we go fishing at all? But we landed on that. Weather wasn't amazing.
No.
But it was good enough and he got a fish, and I think that's just, again, that global community of anglers, and you can see how much it meant to him that, I don't know whether he missed his, a little bit of nostalgia for some of his competition fishing days. Obviously he's doing a lot of full-on Tenkara in Japan these days, but yeah, he certainly got a kick out of that grayling.
Yeah, and right now, this is from last year, when we were in Itashiro at a gathering there. Ubi was kind enough to sit down and talk us through all the kit that he carries on stream. So let's take a look at that now.
Hi, we're in Itashiro at a fly fishing event, and there's dozens of Tenkara anglers that have gathered here today. There's a small bazaar that's been going on, and we've had some wonderful fishing demonstrations. Alberto has joined us very kindly, and he's going to show us what he takes to the river with him. Alberto, do you want to just give us a quick tour of your kit, please?
Yes, very briefly. 4.5 meters rod, not Tenkara rod, but carry rod with custom handle.
Yes.
The Midori.
Nice action.
Nice action, yes, and a great hook setup.
Yeah.
Setting power, sorry. A very simple 30 centimeter diameter net, which I can bend like this, according to the different places I'm fishing in.
Cool.
There's a reason for that too, but it will be probably taking too much time to describe and to explain everything. Then, what is important for fishing? Tenkara flies, and this is my 2-fly approach.
Nice.
And if you are wondering why I'm hiding the other side, is because I will show you anyway. This is the place for the flies friends give me,
Cool.
which I do not use at all, actually. I shouldn't say that too loud because otherwise they will get offended, I guess.
But it's nice to have them, and you're not going to lose them. So that's
Generally,
good.
what I do is like I put in there, and then once at home, like I just put it in like a nice memory box. Anyway, flies and tippet. It's tippet. I use like 0.6, 0.8, and 0.1. One thing I have to say is this setup I have right now, it's for a very specific type of Tenkara fishing, which is Tenkara fishing far from car, which requires a lot of hike, so 3 hours hiking. So I need to bring with me more than what I will usually bring with me, which actually is a bit against what I said before, but the distance and the place where I'm fishing in justify the material I bring with me.
Yeah.
So different fish size, different tippet size, flies, rod, net. You're ready to go.
Yeah, your casting line.
Oh, right, sorry. So I generally use 3 spools. 4.5 meter is my standard for nearly all the situation. If it gets nasty due to bushes or trees, I go to 3.5 meters. And then also if I really want something in the middle, I just use a 4 meter, which is really in the middle. And that's it. And so line, flies, tippet, rod, net. That's all you need to go fishing Tenkara.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. If it's too much for I'm not sure if you're filming again or not, but I wanted to explain you that before,
please do.
because I think it's interesting. You know why Tamo was born, right? Do you?
The curvature.
Yeah, the curvature.
Yeah.
And actually, Tamo is a recent thing. They were not using it very much. The old fishermen in the mountains.
Yeah.
So, what's your best guess for the shape? Probably you already know, but
I would say, well, part of it seems to be so that it doesn't dig into your back when you have it sort of tucked in a belt as part of the reason. But I don't know in terms of the fishing reason. I'm not sure.
It goes on the front like a basket when you fish.
that's more accurate. Not to say,
Yeah.
but Thamos was born not for Tenkara fishing, but was born for Ayu fishing.
Oh yes, okay.
So the shape, comes from Ayu fishing, and Ayu fishing fisherman needs to, for competition or for any other reason, needs to land the fish very quickly.
Yes.
So they will do like this
Yes.
and get it like
Yes.
this. So it has to be somehow curved to be comfortable.
Yes.
If it was attached,
Yeah.
if there was no angle, it would be probably like this. It would be pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah.
However, if you want to fish in the mountains in Japan, so I call it extreme Tenkara.
Yes.
This angle, it's extremely non-productive, and actually it's a real problem because when you're when you're climbing or
Yes.
you're going up to a slope,
Yes.
you often in Japanese forests you have a lot of trees and stuff, and they will just enter
Yes.
here and
Yes.
take your net away,
Yes.
or be, as the Japanese people say, jama. It means like in the way,
Yes,
basically.
Yeah.
So in that case, a flat approach, it's actually better
Yes.
because it's really fits to your back, and it follows the movement of your back. So that's interesting thing you discover when you go fishing in the mountains
Yes.
and you lose your net. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So there are plenty of interesting things that can be boring, but
That's absolutely brilliant.
but there are very interesting things.
Yeah.
Fantastic tackle box talk there from Alberto, and it really, actually, given the fact that he's immersed himself in that Tenkara culture in Japan, but as we saw earlier, enjoying his kind of competition fishing background and the nymphing styles, it's amazing how much DNA both of those approaches share. And that really plays into the big lesson that we've got for this month, which is Takahashi San's on-stream seminar that he did in Itashiro last year.
Yeah, there's a heck of a lot of chatter online about sort of Western techniques, Tenkara techniques, using Western on Tenkara. What is Tenkara? Is it really Tenkara if you fish Czech nymphs or French nymphing styles with a Tenkara rod? And for me, I look at it a little bit like fusion cooking. If you've got two schools of cooking, two sort of regions of cooking or whatever, you get some amazing examples of fusion where they take the best of each and flavours that work together, and it can transcend both, but it belongs to neither. But at the same time, you get fusion attempts that completely fail and are just awful.
I think the bad ones are just worse than either of the worst of the individual styles as well.
And you see this with sort of Western fly fishing and Tenkara. You can see some real sorry attempts at fusing them that end in not really very successful fishing methods. And then you see people such as Takahashi San, who we've got coming up, and Alberto, when he decided to fish some nymphs for grayling with a Tenkara rod, you know, the finesse that was there, it was there, it was totally tangible.
Here's the thing for me, there's good anglers and there's not so good anglers. And that it doesn't matter what the label is or the tactic that you're using at the time there.
Yeah.
The boundaries between high-level angling of different styles are very porous, because there's things that work for fish and things that don't work so well for fish. One of the things I was reminded of was searching through YouTube and looking on the internet, seeing those sort of almost like freak contests where you've got like a karate guy versus a boxer, and
I know
it's
the
like,
kind of thing you mean.
You know, my martial art's better than yours because look, he's that martial art was useless. But the point is, you know, you can fight within those martial. You know, a boxer will fight another boxer.
Yeah, one of them loses.
Yeah, that's it. Does boxing win and lose? So it's not about the narrow definition of that art. It's about the quality and technique and skill. And high-level skill in any genre is always worth looking at. And I think that we're not saying, you know, that one is better than the other, but they are different, and it's important to recognise those differences.
There are times when people flag up arguments where someone will say, that's not Tenkara, that's nymphing. And it can be taken as an insult, but the fact it's just a label. Yes, it's not Tenkara. You're doing it on a Tenkara, but it's not Tenkara. That doesn't mean it's not right or you shouldn't do it. It's not the label that's correct.
No, 100%.
And it clouds the water if you use the wrong label.
For me, all it does is it stops you really appreciating the beauty of either and the subtlety and the details of stuff where all the beauty sort of lies, you know, in understanding that on a deep level. So it's useful to know where it belongs, and it's useful to know where it blends together. And I think Takahashi San's lesson that blended that perfectly, and it showed high-level skills, very much in the camp of European nymph style fishing, but with a huge sort of strong Tenkara mechanics basis, particularly with that single fly approach.
Absolutely. We can talk about this more when we've seen the clip. This is just a small fragment from around a 40-minute lesson that's available as this month's download content. But for now, let's take a look at that short clip of Takahashi San in action.
So the bead head he's using is a size 2.5. The smallest size he could actually get. The smallest size he has in his box. Smaller size of bead head he has in his box. That's really interesting. I just got a fish right now. Said I'm sorry because the fish is small, but it's a beautiful Iwana. Even if it's small, it's a very nice trout. I should say brook trout. So what surprised me of him is that like he's really fishing like a competition angler, European style. So he's really, his approach to the river is really, really similar to the one that a competition angler will have.
すみません、先ここ下してください。後で回収しますから、ゆっくりで。はい。ね
タカさん、
はい、
リラックスしてください。
え、ちょっと
なんか
緊張しちゃうね。
手が見える。
あ、本当。
僕も同じいつもイタリアでなんか説明するときにすっごく緊張してるんですけどリラックスしてください。
リラックスね、なかなかリラックスできるといいんですけど、なんか面白いこと言って。
魚がヒット出るから問題ないですよ。
はい。一番最初に使ったやつの、マーチブラウンのちょっと重たいのでやってます。はい。はい。
Okay, so basically, we are facing now shallower water compared of the previous pool, and so there is no need for a beadhead fly, and so
後で見てもらうんですけど、
he will go back to the March Brown pattern we were using before, slightly heavier
ちょっと一回り
than the one we used before, but not as heavy as a beadhead fly.
見てもらうんですけれども、通常16番で巻くものよりも少し、オーバーサイズの、ハックルを使っています。
Okay, so plus more than just using a March Brown pattern, we are trying to use a March Brown pattern with like longer hackles, and I guess this is made to kind of make more movement, to produce more movement in the water, and try to move the fish and try to induce the fish to attack our fly.
おお。
Yes, and the fish is there. I want to just tell one thing, like the previous fisherman who was just like a few meters ahead of us just stepped and walked over there. So this means that like he probably forgot where the fish was, or he probably wasn't fishing very well, because that's really a truth of stream fishing, like wherever there is a rock, wherever there is a small hole, there is a fish.
We really need to say thanks to Ubi again. He's becoming a bit of a regular feature in Tenkara in Focus.
Part of the furniture, I think.
Yeah, but he did a wonderful job of translating on Takahashi San's event, and it wasn't just a case of translating. It was there's translating and there's interpreting.
I was going to say insight.
Yeah, but also Ubi brings that insight of a competition angler, a Euro competition angler. So to see a Japanese master fishing with European flies and have a European gold medal winning competition angler at the side of him speaking fluent Japanese to ask him all the right questions, it really was sort of the perfect storm, wasn't it?
Yeah. It's just a fantastic feature, and a privilege. And you know, just going to say, big high five for the quality of the video of that whole thing, capturing that. You know, you've boiled it down to 40 minutes of killer content, and it looks fantastic as well. So it's a really, really, really good piece.
The light was great. The setting was great. You know, it's a lovely stream at Itashiro. The fishing was quite high pressure. I saw one point in the day where there were around 10 anglers fishing around 50 yards of stream.
Yeah.
It was like that, you know, the States where you see this combat fishing where they're all lined up shoulder to shoulder. It was almost like that. And Takahashi San was following a Western dry fly angler who just a few minutes before had fished through the pools.
Well, not just one. I mean, those packs of roving pupils that were following the lessons, that was combing through the river for the full 2 days of that event in Itashiro.
Yeah, there was a crowd of anglers on the bank as well. So in terms of whether the fish would be spooked or not, it was fishing for the real sort of odd one or two fish here and there. He was incredibly talented to be catching fish in the scenario that he found himself.
And he sort of modulated his approach so that he actually began to increase the rate at which he was catching fish throughout the lesson, because he started from a broad brush approach, and then he narrowed down onto what was working for him, and we show that process, which is fantastic.
In the full 40-minute video, you do see an evolution in what he's doing. He changes flies several times, and changes the sort of method and technique, and explains what he's doing, and Ubi's there asking him the questions. In addition to that, Paul's put together a fantastic PDF. Takahashi San gave us so many teaching points, so many ideas. Paul's, you've knocked it out of the park with this one. If you're interested at all in that sort of hybrid East and West techniques on a Tenkara rod, this download, this 40-minute video and PDF ebook, it is the one to check out, really, if you don't check anything else out.
No, totally. And I think what I've tried to do is pull out usable skill sets. So it's like a kind of a fill-in-the-blanks approach, where you can take what you already know, pick bits out of Takahashi San's incredible skill set, but then you develop these techniques that you can actually apply that will actually help you to have similar success as well. Yeah. So it's great. It's all very well having a master who can catch fish like that, but it's being able to actually apply it yourself and see your own results and your own confidence grow as a result of that. I think that's really key, and I think because of the raw material from your video, from Takahashi San's content, it made my life an absolute pleasure to kind of do that technical breakdown and really engage my brain and bring my own sort of nymphing background to it as well, because there's a big crossover between the content in that. So I really enjoyed doing a PDF. I think it packs a real punch, because we're just working with such good raw material. John's video looks fantastic, so do yourself a favour, check it out. We'll put a little link up on screen, usual skills, and go and check it out yourself now.
Up next, we're going to introduce a new character to Tenkara in Focus, Vito Rubino. We went on a trip with Vito to Italy. He'd arranged a Tenkara event in Trentino in 2016. And we arrived late in the evening to Milan Bergamo Airport, and we're faced with a couple of hours drive into the mountains. We saw some fantastic scenery as the sun was setting, but it wasn't until we got up the next day that we saw the magnitude of the Alps, the Trentino sort of alpine region. We were lucky enough to be accompanied by a guy called Andrea Krobu, who's a cameraman and drone pilot, and he provided us with some stunning camera work, really, the scenes of the rivers and the mountains, which you probably see on screen sometime around now. Really great, and he captured a few little bits of fishing for us as well. We'll talk about that after we've seen Vito's interview. After we'd had all the wonderful fishing, we managed to pin Vito down for a few minutes and get him to chat to us about his thoughts on Tenkara. And what can we say? Passionate?
I think that's the word, in one word, yeah. And I've got to say, I think I'm secretly in love with Vito, because I
think everybody is.
He's just so passionate, and he sups on the marrow of life, and particularly through, expressing himself through fishing and through the wonderful kind of community that he's surrounded himself with and wherever he goes. So fantastic guy.
Yeah, so here it is, Vito Rubino.
I discovered Tenkara several years ago. Maybe it was 2009, 2010, something between those years. I used to fly fish, but my favorite water has always been pocket waters, mountain streams. So I saw a video online and I thought, this is just perfect. This is just perfect for me, because it's essential, it's simple. That doesn't mean it's easy, and it's the perfect way to be in the nature, in the mountain stream, backpacking, enjoying the nature, fishing. That's what it's all about. So, yeah, it was love at first sight, as you would say. Yeah. First of all, I would like to say that I prefer much level lines. So to talk about the road, I had to talk before about the line I will use because they are connected, of course. So for me, level line is Tenkara. What I mean is that I consider Tenkara a really geometric method of fishing. Also during the Tenkara day, sharing Tenkara with people, I always talk about a triangle, an ideal triangle where from one side there is the angler and his rod, then there is the line, creating so the two lines of the triangle. What happens in the middle doesn't affect our fishing. That is one of the best things about Tenkara. Of course, to keep this triangle and to keep this shape, you have to use a light line, because if the line is heavy, will take your kebari, your fly, out of the place, out of the spot you are fishing, and that's for me is bad, of course. Having said that, of course, I prefer a rod that allow me to cast light lines. I like long rods. I like long rods, also in pocket water. A lot of times I perceive kind of paradox, you know, people facing small pocket water, thinking just about, okay, I have to shorten the rod, so I have to keep, I have to use a very short rod. To me, it's the opposite. It's like, you know, longer rod, shorter line, because you are able just to, how would you say, like to sneak it into the trees and to control it very much. So an average size for me is between 360 meters, which is 12 foot, and 3.9 meters, which is 13 foot. So the level line I like to use, they go from 2.5 up to 3.5. This is a good average. The one I suggest at the beginning for everyone, which I find very good all round, is the 3 or 3.5. This is a good all round. Of course, they go with the rod, because it's very difficult to think about lines on their own or to think about roads on their own, because they go together. It's a setup, you know, it's harmony. So you have to keep on searching an harmony between line, also tippet, also the kebari. I mean, Tenkara is very structural, you know, so you have to look to the whole picture, you know. The issue of kebari, it's a universe. I mean, it's amazing because it's like, you know, a small dot containing huge amount of consideration, information, inspiration, you know. What I'm really confident on are just a couple of patterns. I can consider them traditional, for example, just to make myself clear, you know, to express myself. If we consider Takayama pattern, you know, it's one of the most iconic in Tenkara because they are Sakasa. Talking about also regarding what I said before, it's very much similar about Tenkara, it's the whole structure. I see kebari, of course, not just as imitative, but like all round, like structure as well. So the kebari I use is regarding the technique I want to use and how I want to use them on the stream. Having said that, I really think that with two patterns you can do almost every kind of techniques and you can fish every kind of streams. What I mean is that Takayama, with Takayama pattern, you just can vary. I really like, you know, Fuyoka classification, because it's very much like in Italy tradition. They are shared and classified as the areas, you know, like Kurobe, because it was used by that community, or Takayama, because it was used in that community. So, coming back to the point, I like Takayama pattern with all the variation, you know, and a just stiff fecal pattern, which is very similar, a Western fly angler, and coming to the point like Western flies or you know, traditional kebari flies, you know, and Japanese flies. Sometimes the difference is very small if you think about it, because talking about the stiff fecal, like just a body and a couple of wrap of ginger cock at the head, you know, it's very much like a mayfly, a small mayfly, a BWO, for example, talking about matching the hatch, but they can look like 1 million things as well. So I come back to the other point, they are structural. I like stiff hackle when I want to, like tomezzuri, when I want to entice a bit more the fish, when I want to dig a bit more the surface and see the fish reaction, so just testing the water. They, of course, we have to stress the point that Kebari is not like in Western fly fishing, so it's not very much like the pattern and the dressing. It's the way you use, because I can have that stiff hackle and like you use in like the Western, so put some floatant on it and fishing dry like we do in the Western and the English fly fishing. But so it's not about the pattern, it's about how you use, because I use the same pattern, making them the same pattern, making it bouncing on the surface, using the current to make it go down, and they both work. So this is the other pattern I use very much. And with those two patterns, I fish almost every year and almost in every situation. I really consider fishing like a puzzle, you know. You get the perfect picture when everything is in place. Of course, I go fishing to catch fish. So this is a really important part, an important part of piece of the puzzle, you know. But it's not just about fish, you know. I like almost every kind of fishing. My kind of fishing is, and my kind of fish is the trout. I love trout, I love brown trout. So if I had to choose one, I would choose brown trout, because it's always been my dream when I was a kid. I started fishing when I was 6 years old, and it was difficult to catch a trout. So when I saw like old anglers catching trout on difficult river, you know, running waters, I was like, maybe one day I will be able, you know. So I grew up with that brown trout might, you know. Then I start to catch some browns, and they let me down because I said, so maybe they are not that clever, you know, if I can catch a brown trout. But anyway, jokes apart, I'm really into brown trout. Also the way they think, or I think they think, you know, because you never know. The way they behave, they are just amazing. It's my fish. But regarding trouts, I really love, and I don't mind, rainbows. In Italy, for example, we have special kind of trout. Now we are taking this soundbite, this interview in northern Italy, and in this area, eastern northern Italy, we are in Trentino, there is the marble trout. Marble trout is just an amazing fish because it has that kind of tiger pattern. I like grayling a lot. It's a bit difficult because Tenkara, I mean, with grayling we have to talk about grayling in mountain fishing. Like here is amazing, you can find grayling in trout water, kind of strange. And so I love that kind of fishing. Regarding the size, I don't mind big size, all right? But size doesn't matter. At least that's what my wife always say, and I trust her. So I want to believe that, you know. But it's true, I mean, coming back to the point, size doesn't matter because the fish is one part of your puzzle. During these days, we were up in the mountain. We caught a ridiculous amount of fish, you know, a ridiculous number. They were not big, they were not huge, but they were wonderful, they were wild, they were real. So it was a real fishing in a real environment. So you get all the thing, and that it was all about. Okay, I would share my, let's say, my personal motto, which is not about what you use, but is about how you use it. And this is true for Kebari, this is true for lines, this is true for rods, this is true for your technique and for yourself. Then we have to say that everyone has a reason to go fishing. So I will never say you have to do that, you have to do, because fishing, and especially for me, Tenkara fishing, is just about the seeking of happiness. Everyone needs to be happy, and Tenkara can really change a life. When I share Tenkara with people, I do it. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but you know, somehow Tenkara changed my life. I mean, so badly, you know. Tenkara changed my life. So it's just about for people a hobby, but among 100 anglers you meet, maybe you can change one life. But there is a responsibility. So if you share Tenkara because you are very passionate about it, for me it's very okay. Because you do it with love. If you share Tenkara just to spread a brand, or you know, just to fulfill your ego, which is normal. I mean, this is about ego. That's why I'm in front of the camera. But you have to refrain it, because if it's just about ego, so it's really bad to me. Because Tenkara might be very important for someone. Maybe 1 out of 100 angler, but that one is a life. And really you can change people's life. I think about, it's my opinion. Yeah.
I think you'll agree that was just a wonderful interview from Vito there.
Yeah.
Just what can you say? I know that he talks about some, and he's obviously a great angler. You can see from the fishing skills, from the nice B-roll shots where he's actually delivering that lovely fly first cast and the, you know, that sort of thing. Technique's all there, but it's not all about, you know, fishing is never about just the clinical mechanics of it. It's kind of soulless sort of like, you know, way of looking at it. Vito, you know, he actually just embodies and brings to life that, you know, the experience side of it, how important that soulful and that passionate sort of experience of it. You could probably tell, like just at the end there, you know, he's genuinely emotional. You know, it has had such an impact on his life that...
Yeah. I think, you know, I mean, there'll be a good proportion of people watching this that, you know, Tenkara is a nice little diversion, but we know there are people out there from the feedback that we get that it's changed their life. It's become something that's, you know, indispensable in their life. And Vito is one of those guys that really gets that. And
it bugs the life out of me when people say, "Oh, it's just only fishing," or "It's just shut up, it's just fishing," and blah blah. You know, as if, you know, sort of brush it under the carpet. It's like, no, these are the, you know, people's meaning in life. You know, it's basically their religion. You know, and yet you can see that absolutely coming through with that.
Yeah.
Because that short format is nice and punchy for this episode. I didn't want to take up too much space with it.
Yeah.
John's also done another edit to give the full Vito experience. So I don't know how long that runs to.
It's around 20 minutes. It's similar. We did the same with Ubi's interview because there was so much good stuff in there. You can't just leave it out. People need to see it.
I can't shut these Italians up. I think
no,
that's
I think it's a common thing with the Italians. They can do a 20-minute interview without even thinking. So we've put that together, the full edit of Vito's interview. And we'll put that on the playlist on YouTube straight after this episode. So if you're watching this episode, all you need to do really is just leave it on auto. It'll probably play next, or you can hit the skip button and get to it at the end of the show. You know, it's there are even more passionate moments in his full interview. It's well worth it.
Do check it out. It'll enrich your life. And also, just to say, huge thanks for Vito for being Vito and delivering such great content.
So that's it for another episode. Episode 6 done.
Well, season 1, episode 6.
Yeah, we're nearly done. What can we say? Big thanks to everyone for tuning in and everyone that supports what we do, and the biggest thanks to people who get our downloadable content. You are the lifeblood of Tenkara in Focus, and we can't thank you enough. If you've never tried that downloadable content before, this is the one to try it. We're really proud of this on-stream lesson with Takahashi San, and the PDF that Paul's put together is fantastic. That, you know, why wouldn't you want it?
Well, yeah, that was super kind of you to say, as ever. But yeah, you're dead right, because it's the techniques that speak to whatever background you've got, whether you're kind of a full-on Tenkara sort of enthusiast already, or you've got that kind of Western fly fishing background. The guy is actually giving a lesson into the conditions with, you know, there's dozens and dozens of anglers fishing up in front of him. Yeah. And it's worth noting that specific lesson that we filmed, he had to finish his tuition and actually go to the kind of the participant coaching side of it, because he'd reached his catch and release limit for the Itashiro rivers on that day. So they impose a limit on how many fish you can catch, 10 fish in a day.
Yeah, that's when you're releasing as well. This is not how many fish.
This is not a bag limit.
There's no catch and kill. It's all catch and release.
Yeah.
But you can only catch, I think at the minute it's 10 fish.
Yeah.
And then you have to stop fishing because there are that many anglers coming to this region because the fishing's so good, because it's one of the only catch and release fisheries.
It's the success story of catch and release, and I applaud that it's a bold move because there are a lot of anglers actually going there, and that they want to sort of make sure the fish welfare is top priority.
Yeah.
But the point is, if you don't want to know how he, if somebody who can do that under those conditions, that he actually reaches that limit, where most people were struggling to scrape one or two fish if they were lucky.
Yeah.
And the secret is within the techniques, and it's a repeatable sort of a set of techniques and a system. That's exactly what we lay out in the video content, and we support that very clinically with the PDF content as well. Yeah. So do go and give yourselves those kind of unfair advantages, and check out the download content. We'll put the usual links up on screen now, and also underneath, depending if you're watching this, embedded in the blog as well. Go and check it out. We think you'll really enjoy it. And even if you're not, just overwhelmed with, sort of the purchase that you've made, we always cover the download content with, frankly, a crazy 100% money-back guarantee. And you don't find that on digital download products. Well, I've not seen it anywhere else.
No.
But we want you to enjoy this stuff. If it's not met your expectations for whatever reason, we'll just give you your money back. So there's no risk to you. Why don't you go out and try it?
Yeah, it's the best way to support us. Again, thanks for tuning in. Join us next time on Tenkara in Focus, but for now, it's goodbye from us.
Goodbye.